Amour-Porter here, coming to you with another series or episode of Diaries of an Entrepremommy. I'm with a good friend of mine. I've been knowing her for years, Chevelle Brown. And so we decided to take it casual, just have a cup of coffee and a conversation between two old friends. And we're going to learn more about her and see her journey. So Chevelle, please tell us what it is that you do.
Well, I teach chess, and that's my business. ITeachChess.com is the website.
Okay.
And I have been teaching chess for about 10 years.
Okay.
Starting mostly with my son, moving into a chess program at a school where I've been coaching. It's done pretty well there in terms of coaching. I'll talk about that part later. But the number one reason that I felt like it was more than just coaching is how I watch children change over time. So I would watch a child. One of the exciting things, of course, is when they get to the aha moment.
Okay.
So when they learn to play chess, what it does is it helps them with memory and concentration, problem solving, that kind of thing. But when we went from that to competing, I started to see things really change and happen for children. Watch them apply the things they learned on the chessboard to their real life.
Okay.
Subsequently, they increased math scores, even science scores, just doing better in school overall. One of the major things, though, that it does is it requires you, especially when you compete, to think things through to their logical conclusion.
Yeah, that's huge. And we're going to get into that because I want to put a pin in that because I want to touch a little bit more on that because today our kids are not actually geared to do that long-term thinking, which is something that you're giving them. So, but I want you to start from the beginning. So yes, she does an amazing job. When I found out that she was doing chess, I was like, wow, that's awesome, right? And I never knew. Did you ever think in a million years you'll be here today teaching chess?
Absolutely not.
That's how it happens.
Absolutely not.
So if you do not have an idea of what it is that you want to do, don't fret. Just start moving and doors will open and things will happen. But if you kind of sit there and try to have it all planned out before you move, you're not going to move. So let's start at the beginning because you started totally different from being an entrepreneur.
Oh my God, yes. So my life in general. Now, one thing that I did recognize about myself early on is that entrepreneurship had kind of been instilled. So my father, he worked for Chrysler. He was a computer analyst for Chrysler, but he also did taxes and other little things. So we saw that my uncle owned a gas station. My other uncle owned a party store. So we we saw that.
It's in the family.
It's in the family. It is in the family. So we saw that.
Okay.
But I also recognized that I had some leadership qualities going. In high school, I was class president, so I saw some different things, and I thought maybe I might want to do politics. And I even learned how to play chess in high school.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what I learned in high school.
Okay.
So going forward, I go to college, and while I'm in college, I'm doing great. Dean's List, that whole thing. All of a sudden, I discover partying.
I almost spit my coffee out. That's how it happens.
That's how you say what?
And
it went from that to academic probation. My father was like, "Oh, you will pay for your own college, young lady." So I'm trying to work and pay for college, and I eventually leave college and I joined the Marine Corps.
Wow.
So and it was,
wait. So what's the jump from like,
Okay, well, it's relationship is everything. So the thing is I need
and that's a big one.
Relationship is everything. It's everything.
Okay.
So I'm working in a store. I'm not in school that semester because I haven't paid. I can't really afford it. A friend comes into the store that I'm working at, and he says, "Hey, you ought to join the Marine Corps. Someone I went to high school with."
Okay.
And I'm just saying to myself, no. But just know, in about a week's time, I was in his office. I had taken the ASVAB, and I was gone to boot camp 2 weeks later. My parents were like,
wait a second. But sometimes it has to happen that fast for you not to think about it and start getting scared. And
and when you were saying at the beginning about not trying to wait until the situation is perfect and then try to move, you can't. You really have to just move. And things will fall into place. But you just move. You go out there, you may be scared, walk out there scared. However you have to do it, you work with what you have, start where you are, work with what you have, do what you can, and let it happen. So,
and it doesn't have to be perfect. And
no,
you don't
it does
even
not.
know how. So I want to touch on something really quick. So sometimes we have failures in our lives, right? And we think like, oh, but we did this and this didn't work and da da da. Kind of like in a blessing, like you started partying for it, and your dad was like, oh, you got to pay it for yourself. And that probably when your friend, and tell me if I'm wrong, but your friend who was in the Marines or the Marine Corps, when he talked to you, he probably was like, oh, and they'll pay for education.
Oh, absolutely. That was that was it. That was it. Because when he came to the store, that's what he said. That was the thing that he said. And I was just like, hey, I'm out of here. And I remember exactly what was going on. We were at Wayne State, and we were having a sit-in. And I remember leaving all of that behind, going to boot camp. Yeah. And I turned 21 years old in boot camp.
Wow.
So, awesome. So, so my life is just doing what it's doing. And so I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm in reserves. I go back from active to reserve, back and forth for a while. Enjoying life. I eventually leave them. Well, I don't leave the Marine Corps right away, but while I'm doing part-time Marine Corps work, I do paperwork for the police department. So Michigan State Police and the Detroit Police. So the Detroit Police called first. And right after I committed to Detroit Police, Michigan State Police came and asked.
Oh, wow.
And I had already made my commitment, which was fine because that's where I was supposed to be.
Right.
So I was a police officer and, enjoying life, being a police officer, running and gunning, did a lot of stuff for Detroit Police, from profiling to raiding houses.
Wow.
So had a great time, but unexpectedly, not planned. I'm 33 years old and I am pregnant, and I have this amazing child, and that is when I can clearly remember. My son was 3 months old, and I'm at church and at Bible study, not even at like Sunday morning, sometimes Bible study, and I can remember holding him on my shoulder, knowing that I had to make a change. I was like, salvation is one thing, lordship is another. You know, and that's a whole nother story.
That is a whole nother story. Look, you going deep on this, right?
That was a whole nother story. But I knew lordship had to take place because now I have someone who's watching me. Right. Now I'm a mommy. Yes. And
I think it was the thing with the Diaries of an Entrepreneur, and I wanted to showcase this. That was the thing that got me to say, okay, I have kids now. I have to do it for them. I have to leave a legacy. I want them to experience things I haven't done. And so for you saying that about you, it's kind of like, I know so many moms out here who's going to be watching this feels that. They feel the guilt. We've been through that. They feel, and so now it's a beautiful thing. Now, is our lives busy?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yes. Good busy.
But we're able, so Joseph calls you and say, hey mom, tomorrow I have this thing I would like, I'm getting an award, right? And they're going to have like a little ceremony. And
for everything.
Right. You're there for every moment.
Everything.
And that's what I loved. I was there for all the moments. Yes. And I'm still
there for all the moments.
I know, right? I still have some little ones that go
still. I'm there. Big ones. You're still there for all the moments.
I'm still for all the moments. And that's, and I don't know about how your day is, but like I work in the morning until the time they get home.
Yep.
I shut it down. That's then that's our time to conversate, start cooking dinner. And then if I hadn't finished everything, after they get settled, then I go back to work. Right?
Yes, exactly. And it does, there's a certain amount of freedom so while I was in the police department, I had a friend who opened a shop doing lashes and brows, and I helped her on the business side, because when I was in college, that was my major, was business. So I helped her on the business side to get open. And she was like, well, hey, I need someone to actually do the work. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it out. Nice. So I'm in there, I'm doing the work, learning how to put on eyelashes.
And it's a big industry now.
And keep in mind, now this is 17 years ago, 18 years ago. This is a while back.
So this is the beginning of 2000.
This is right, exactly. Yes. So we are, so my son, beginning of 2000s, probably late 19, right there. So my son's not born yet. And I realized I can do this. So I go ahead, I open up a store on the other side of town, and I'm in Northland Mall, and I open up before your eyes.
Yes. So let me tell you about this, right? This is one of the reasons why I love this woman. So I remember a long time ago we were having a conversation, and I think it was at church up in the upper, the observation. Yes.
The nursery. Mm-hmm.
And I was asking her questions, and she is a person, she's a heart to give, and she's not closed down where like, I'm not giving you this information. But she's smart enough, and I don't know where you're going to tell me where you found this from, but she's smart to know her time is valuable as well. So she'll give you homework to see how serious you are. And if you come back, I remember that. Do you remember that? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, she'll give you homework. And so if you say, hey, how do I open up a shop? I want to do something like you. She's not going to hate on you. She's going to be like, oh, that's awesome, right? So that's huge in itself. So I love that. But then she's going to say, okay, so if you're serious, do this, and then let me know when you're done.
And you were one of the very few people who would do it. Because that is, people say it to you all the time. They see you in business, and especially if you're in a mall, because I was in a mall, and folks are like, oh, she's doing it real big. They think I'm making gold bricks in the back room or something like that. The money tree is in the break room. Like, oh my God, it's so not that. I think it's hard to get, to a certain place. So I'm explaining things, and so people would ask me that all the time, and I would just give them 3 things. Go do these 3 things, let me know when you're done. Mm-hmm. You probably, maybe 2 or 3 people would ever do that. But it's an opportunity. So if you can't do those 3 things and come back, you're not ready for business.
And they're not going to come back. So one, that's so smart, because if they haven't done it, they know themselves. They're not going to come ask her more questions.
Right.
Because they feel bad that they didn't do what they're supposed to do. Right. And it kind of gives them a sense to say, am I really ready? Because I didn't even do what she asked me to do. Now, well, you will have some of those ones who know they ain't do it and was like, hey, can you do that? But all you have to say is, oh, wait, did you do the first 3 things? Mm-hmm. And then it kind of shuts them down. So if you are an entrepreneur and you love helping people, you can't help people to the fact where it hurts your business, right? Or your time is super valuable. Yes, your time is super valuable. But you can give people homework and find out how serious they are. So I learned that from her.
Being in the Marine Corps to becoming a police officer, to taking an early retirement, to working in the stores. Mm-hmm. Now, while I'm working in the stores, that's where chess comes along, because I taught Joseph chess at 3. Mm-hmm. So even though he knew the pieces and how they move, he just wasn't interested. But by the time he was going to school at 5, he sees older kids playing, and he knows the game. And so now he's excited. He's 5, he's excited, he's in kindergarten, he gets all his little friends. Mm-hmm. So he's got about 7, 8 little friends. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, well, I know more than you guys know. So right? I know more than I can teach these guys. And we would be, after school in one of the classrooms teaching chess. I'd be right there. Mm-hmm. And so we did that all the way through. And it turned into a business in the last several years, just because I recognize. So one of the things I do, I'm an apologist, which I defend the faith. Mm-hmm. And that whole thing has to do with logic. So my faith isn't built on emotion.
Emotions.
And a lot of people, they got emotional, they joined the church. Mm-hmm. They heard a good sermon, they heard a good choir, they joined the church. That is not me at all. No. I have a good reason to believe.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing about chess. So when I'm talking to children about chess, and I tell parents and people this all the time, the reason that I really coach chess is that when these children learn to think things through to their logical conclusion, mm-hmm. they know how to think about anything.
Everything.
And at some point, they're going to have to make a decision for Christ. They'll be able to think it through, and it won't be, oh, I'm just joining because my mother.
Right. Or even if they already joined, or if they're already in that kind of situation, it teaches them to say, wait a second, how do I apply this to my life, right? I love that, because in today's world, everything is so fast-paced, right? And everything is really on emotion. So think about social media. Social media is emotions.
Everything, yes.
And I have one of my mentors, Danny Johnson, she always says, tell your feelings to go somewhere, because your feelings lie to you. And they do. All the time. They lie to you all the time.
The heart is really deceitful.
Oh, yes. And so it does.
She just confirmed what the Word of God already said.
Yes. She does. That. And so I love that. And so I love the fact that you're taking a new generation that is learning we're kind of, as a society, teaching them not to think long term, But you're saying, no, let's go back to basics. And so I love that. So if you're looking at this and she actually goes to schools and she implements the chess program at the school, she has a big team and she's able to do it. If you're looking at this and you're interested for your child or your child's school to be able to take advantage of, but if you want to implement that, definitely go to iteachchess.com. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chevelle.
So much.
Yes, we're going to keep up with this one right here. All right, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.